You know what? It's the bonus episode. It's 4:03. I ain't worried about being super on time today. But we up in here. We are here. I don't know if this music is too loud. Beautiful people. Beautiful people. We are back once again. One more time for your mind. Keeping it simple for your mental. How we doing, my beautiful people? All right, Kayla. This last week, that's right. You ain't missing a day. You showed up ready. Was binging your videos earlier. Hey, I really appreciate that. Much gratitude.
Hey.
Kayla, how you doing?
Good, good. How you
Peace.
doing?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Peace, peace. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited for tonight. I feel like great subjects. I'm excited.
All right now. The Raider Oath and peace to you. Tommy Skillfinger, peace. Holistic Healing by Jay, peace, peace. All right. Britters Mary, we got some familiars. Ebony Beauty. I said your name wrong last week. I kept saying Ibani, but it's Ebony Beauty. Peace, peace, family. All right. My God, I'm so glad to see you guys in here. So this is a bonus episode for the podcast, but y'all know it's just us linking up once again. So the formalities are a bit out of the window today. We're going to just get straight into the sauce. But, we still got to set the mood, right? So I got my rose quartz, my raw rose quartz right here. But while I burn the sage, why don't you go ahead and enlighten us on how you've been? How was your week?
My week was pretty awesome. No complaints as usual. I got a lot of work done this week, and I got a lot of self-care work done this week, so I'm proud of myself for that.
Okay, self-care, that's what's up.
Mm-hmm.
How do you what self-care look like for you?
It definitely looks like getting up in the morning, making sure that I'm doing my meditations, making sure that I'm writing down affirmations for my day. It's always work to do self-work. and sometimes we can, I can tend to move a little bit too fast.
Mm-hmm.
So slowing down and kind of, getting my affirmations in, writing down what I'm grateful for, get a little glam, putting on the whole outfit, even if I'm going to work at the table and I'm at the house.
Yes. For my festive people, even though we know what Christmas is, I had a little mistletoe for you today. Check that out. Check that out. I don't know if mistletoe still work, but I'm gonna try it. Probably not because it's 2022. Never mind. But anyway,
I've never done the mistletoe.
I've never done a mistletoe either. I've always seen it on TV, and I was like, is that ever gonna happen to me? Like ever? Like where do they buy them? But anyway, Miss Jazzy, welcome. All right, now let's go ahead and get some sound frequency healing up in here to set the mood just right. When I chime, you let the breath go in of your nose and out of your nose. We don't do mouth breathing up in here. All right, here we go. The thing about sound frequencies, what I was noticing today, I've been listening to this channel on YouTube called Meditative Mind. They have like a bunch of sound frequencies like 432 hertz. And today I was listening to the heart chakra frequency. And it's really like, I truly believe this is what the people, our predecessors, our ancestors were using back in the day, like right before they came and changed it from 432 to 440. I really believe that it was like people used to go to these healing centers and, well, I guess we get right into it. But People used people used to go to these like healing centers, right? With the antiquitech on top, with the temples. And even in retrospect, even as I think about it, Clinton Street Temple, you know, that I grew up in and here in Detroit, we had like a whole second row. And like I remember growing up, me and my sisters used to think like, why is our church so immaculate? Like, why is it so huge? Like, I mean, the roofs was like, you would need like a couple of ladders to jump up there to get up there. And so that's the case here in Detroit. So I think that, you know, people not only used to go to these healing centers to get the frequencies sent down from the ether, but they used to know how to tune people with the right frequencies, right? And to add on to that, when I was walking around today, and I got a video coming for you guys tomorrow, I did some, I give you guys like a little tour of some parts of Detroit. But as I was walking around and I noticed some of these statues of these, you know, men, I guess, who found Detroit or whatnot, as they say, I noticed like the attire that they were wearing. And like, I always think back to like when, like the Renaissance and like those periods and like, we're going to talk about this later, but you know, the Renaissance and how they say it was the Middle Ages, but prior to that, their style, it was like the capes, it was the boots, it was the
top hat,
the top, like, I think not only did they find our technology, not only did they find our buildings, but they took our style. Like I believe we used to wear these capes because when you go to, I think this is why Superman wear a cape. Superman is symbolic for like melanin and black people. Anyway, but I think we used to wear capes, and when you go into a lot of these older buildings and these churches, you will see that they had a separation of tiers. It used to be like, it looked like it used to be royalty and then like the everyday people. And that's one thing that I noticed like with a lot of these churches, right? It was a top row to where you can kind of look down like you were the upper class.
That's right.
Right? And like even as so I'm gonna stop right there. I just wanted to start to show you guys what kind of level that we are digging on today. And I asked some people to come, some people who had a difference of opinion than what I was asking, you know, saying. I asked them to come. Some people who agreed, I asked them to come, because even if like what I always tell people is like the things that I present, you know, you don't have to believe me. Try to prove me wrong, you know, like double check what I'm saying, because you can't just take anybody's word, like ever. You have to research it and know it for yourself to solidify it in your own consciousness, right? Because I could be wrong, like human error. So I always tell people, don't believe what I'm saying fully, because it, like, to be completely transparent, when I'm doing my research, like, you have to keep in mind that I'm digging through a lot of false history that was given. So I have to like say, okay, this is what they're saying. Let me dig deeper, go beyond that. Let me look at dates. Let me see if other people dug deep in the 1800s. Let me, you know, like really dive in. Like, you know, even though I'm not getting, you would think I'm getting paid for this right now, even though like I'm suspended from like monetary privilege and stuff, I really dig, I dig deep and do the work, you know. Forget the money. If money wasn't even a thing, it's because like sometimes you know what your passion is here, right? Like a lot of us, even another vision I had today in the shower, like I was having these flashbacks. Like a lot of us were here in the old world and we're in our next life. Like a lot of us probably didn't make it through the mud floods. A lot of us, like, you know, for a lot of us, this is our first time here, and we came with the downloads of what we were supposed to do here. But a lot of people here, probably from the Tartarian Empire, probably from, it wasn't Tartaria didn't like run the entire world, so it was Tartarian, it was other groups like juxtaposed Tartaria. So like what those other groups are, like we have to dig deeper and find it, because I don't want to stop at the notion that like it was Tartaria and then like nobody else, you know, because right, because even like you look at how things are today, it's like, you know, we're not like a monolithic people. Like we still have our differences of opinion, differences of mind, and so that's how it was back then, right? And so the topics we have today, we have American Revolution, false history. We have the Bermuda Triangle and the Gulf of Mexico because somebody wanted to talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have American Revolution. So
Juicy.
yes. So guys, please go ahead and send in those requests if you want to get up here in this brave space, jump on stage, talk with me and Kayla. And so some things that
go ahead.
Yeah, some things that came up when I was having these like flashbacks and like in the shower. Ladies, calm down. I know I'll say shower. You don't have to.
We're thinking about steam.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, it was just, but a couple of things that came to mind was like looking to Spain. I was like, looking to Spain. It's like looking to Spain, looking to Rome, looking to Persia, and looking to India. Like those kept coming. Like it was kind of like a song that was on repeat. And sometimes that's how thoughts are. Like you'll keep getting the same thought until you like write it down, and then that thought becomes an idea, and then you take action on it. So I was like, okay, let me look into Spain, let me look into Rome, let me look into Persia, because when the first thing that came to mind when it said look into Spain, I was like, well, Spain did make their way out here, and they were invested in Florida, California, like they knew something, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, wait a minute, they probably found Spain, like a lot of buildings, they inherited a lot of buildings in Spain. They were like, wait, let's see what else is out there, because I'm pretty sure when I look into Spain, when I look into the Capitol buildings in Spain, when I look into these libraries in Spain, I'm going to find much of the same thing. Like we were everywhere. Everywhere that you look, that's where we were, and that's why they don't like us. Somebody says ancient Egypt. Well, it depends on which ancient Egypt you're referring to, because I'm under the impression that we are standing on the grounds of the ancient Egypt empire, and I need to dig deeper to see how these timelines work because of the phantom time hypothesis. And the more that I dig in, deeper into it, the more I'm like, wait a minute, this is right. Like, this is actually legit, right? The timeline of ancient Egypt, and then timeline of the Tartarian Empire, the timeline of the Phoenicians, like, I really have to dig deeper to like close this gap, because I'm like, wait a minute, we are closer to those timelines than we think. We're closer to like a lot of this false history that we're told, because I'm like, wait a minute, if they made up Charlemagne, what else did they make up? Because a lot of this stuff, they know that we can't go back and be like, wait, so we have to dig deep, and we have to use common sense. We have to add up some things. And the more you start to dig, and how these photos start to surface about like the construction of the Sphinx, some things about the Great Pyramids, I'm like, it really does seem like a stage. It does seem like the stage was cleared, right? Like
I was just gonna say that. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Because like the you got Eastern Island, you got a lot of these monoliths and megaliths where it's like square in the circle. You have these pyramids in Mexico, Guatemala, like everywhere that was left over, right? And when you start to, yeah, it's like when you start to look at a lot of these ancient, okay, so the timeline that I would think was like, okay, the megaliths came for like the Stonehenge, all that stuff. Like you can see like, okay, computing, like they're starting to put things together. This stone goes here, this stone goes here. This is how the stars work. And then it's like, because I can't really fathom them doing Stonehenge and then them doing these immaculate halls and buildings at the same time, because it's like, if you have this technology, why the fuck are you doing Stonehenge? Wow. So, you know what I'm saying? So, and the thing that really, really grinds my gears about this whole thing is that they want us to believe that this was all done with a hand tool, like a chisel. Have you seen these buildings? Blessings, peace.
Hey.
Who do we have here? Please show your face. All right. All right, we're gonna have to remove. That was strange. So, yes, these buildings, it's like they want us to believe that these buildings was like these. If you see these stuff, like, have you seen the roundness of these roofs? Like, it's almost a perfect sphere. Like,
Perfect.
with
And I bet if you actually could measure it, like if you could take a digital measure and measure the dome, I bet it would be a perfect 160 curve.
that's a fact. Like, and I just saw somebody. Let me tag this. Let me pause. Yeah, so Egypt was built using frequency and magic. Hey, okay, okay. So, you know, I'm always sorry if this is loud in your ear, guys. I need my tea. So one thing that I can't really figure out, right? God, I make some good tea, y'all. AstroHerbs.org, shameless plug. So one thing I really can't figure out, right, is like if it's heavily promoted in the movies, if it's heavily promoted in popular culture, watch out for it, you know? And one of the things that's like popular and hey, peace, Imani. One of the things that's like heavy in popular culture right now is these emerald tablets. These like, and I'm like, if this man is promoting it, if it damn near got a commercial for it, because they put it in the new Eternals movie.
There's something.
Right. And I'm like, okay, they can tell us like these emerald tablets was done by Thoth and like it holds this power, but how do we challenge that, right? How do we like they just want you to take it at face value and say this is what it is. You hold the power. I have to believe what you say. Just how the people back in year 586 or 600, they didn't know what time it was. Like they didn't rise up and go, okay, today is Thursday. Today it's like 3 p.m. right now. They had to go to the church, ask them, hey, what's today? What time is it? So their idea, like their perception of the days, how time works, how the sun and moon, like all of their information came from the church. The church controlled everything, right? And so the church tells you is the year 586, you know, what they said back in the day is it's I 586 because I was the year of the Lord 586. And then, you know, next week you rise up and it's 1586. And they actually, yeah, in Europe, they rioted against this because they rised up and like they like a lot of people start to figure out and like I can show you guys, I can put this in a lecture, but research what I'm saying, like they actually had riots because of these Gregorian calendar changes because people knew that the time difference wasn't right. Right.
I was
So
deep diving into that while I was researching for the topics, and a lot of these wars and a lot of these reset periods, right, all have to do with kind of reshaping our ideal or our focus on what time is. And when you come from, like, we were talking about the Industrial Revolution, and I was just writing down what was the reset goal of it. We go from this very agricultural-based society into this very machine, mass production-based society. You also had all the fires. Like, really, when you look into the Industrial Revolution, there was so much that was supposedly going on and packed into that period, including the War of 1812. And you know, which is a whole nother beast on its own. So it's, you know, like you have to wonder. And then just doing a little bit of research for it, like the GDP increased during the Industrial Revolution, which is the basically the monetary measurement of the market. How much are these people worth over here? How much are these people worth over there?
The gross domestic product.
Right.
Exactly.
And who is, you know, what do you think that gross domestic product is?
Right now, it's I don't want to get kicked off, but right now it's bodies. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if we're being completely transparent,
Right.
child trafficking started back with the orphan trains, and it's still like that today, heavily. This is what feeds the elites. This is what feeds the other thans. When I say other thans, to be quite frank, it's the reptilian beings. It's the elites that still control here. It's the elites who've been here throughout the resets, the elites that are possibly stuck here in this timeline, right? That's why they keep manipulating our time, right? Everything has to do with time. Like,
Yeah.
if you look at all of my lectures, right, for the past 2 years that I've been doing these like lectures, it's time, the common denominator. It's who controls the time, right? And so with that, I want to add on to some random thoughts that I was thinking that I feel like would fit right here. So I feel like some of these innocent police killings, right, stuck here. Money, y'all look out for mine. She be dropping bars in the comments.
Stuck here.
Yes. So what if some of these innocent police killings, right? Let's say like you see like a 4-year-old is killed and he was just walking to school. You're like, what? Like, how are people this evil? I mean, you know, a lot of them are NPCs. They don't have souls. There are some of these clone babies.
Yeah.
But I believe that a lot of some of these innocent police killings could be timeline interference, right? And when I say timeline interference, let's say you have the ability to peer into the future and you know what somebody's going to become, and you want to stop them from becoming that. What you're going to do is go back before they can become that, and you're going to stop them. I'm not saying this is what it is, but I feel this strongly, and it came up for a reason.
Terminator. John.
Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Wow.
Like that's exactly what just hit my head. And you know, it's put in the movie for a reason.
Yeah, and apparently Terminator and the Matrix are connected, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to tap into that. And I'm waiting for this guy to hop in here because he brought up he shared this video with me earlier and brought up a great point. So we have these nodes throughout the simulation, right? These nodes that just, they have a lot of strange things happening around them, and a lot of these nodes appear on the national park system. A lot of people go disappearing around caves. A lot of people go disappearing around the Bermuda Triangle.
Mm-hmm.
Pyramids were found in the Gulf of Mexico. Pyramids were found off the coast of Louisiana, right? And so you have these, and another thing I want to add about the Bermuda Triangle is that when eels don't have any reproductive organs on them at all. For anybody that doesn't know this, right? I'm gonna give you the Animal Planet right here. Eels don't have any reproductive organs, but new young eels are constantly seen in the ocean. How is this possible? Well, they have put trackers on some eels, right? And what these scientists have noticed is that these eels, the old eels, go towards the Bermuda Triangle. They disappear. New eels come back. So the fact that they can't reproduce, but the older eels go to the Bermuda Triangle, they're like, all right, I'm checking out of this realm, and then fresh eels come back. That's still something that really needs to be looked into. I've never heard anybody really dive deep into that, because it's like one of those things you're like, nope, that's not suspicious to anybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? And another thing that brought the Bermuda Triangle and the Gulf of Mexico is that I've showed this video a couple of times during my lectures. It's this guy. He was doing, like, I think a show on Discovery Channel or Animal Planet, one of these, and he found a firmament in the ocean, and it was like this
Was that Down near the trench.
The Mariana
Mm-hmm.
Trench, no, but the Mariana Trench in itself is mysterious. In it, you can always tell where they have tampered because there are, if you take away the water from the ocean, it's like somebody was scratching to dig, right? It's like you always find these claw marks,
Mm.
right? And so in the Bermuda Triangle, like I dropped a video, I think it was either last year or 2020, I think it was last year, where they bombed the Bermuda Triangle. And they call it like naval testing, but they do these tests often, and they bomb that area, and it's like, what are you trying to get to, right? And the reason I call them a node is because on your as within so without, as above so below. So you have your natal chart, and then you have the game, right? You take a clock, you take a natal chart, you take the game, meaning our where we occupy. You
Mm-hmm.
can do a lot of lining up. If you notice, if you ever look at a natal chart, the planets have latitude and longitude. And I haven't done this myself yet, but it's just now coming to me. If you take the latitude and longitude of a planet, and you take the latitude and longitude of like some of these comets that go off, or like the latitude and longitude of like, let's say, where you were born and where the planets were, and that, I really think that you'll start to find like the similarities with these interest points in the game. And this is where I'm going to make it full circle with the nodes, because you have your north node and your south node, right? You have interest points in the game, and I call them nodes. Bermuda Triangle is one of these nodes, and I saw this on the video. I want to give credit to what I'm saying right now to the video I saw earlier, because the guy was mentioning nodes. So the nodes is where you can enter and exit on your natal chart.
Mm.
On your natal chart, you come in through your what? Your south node. Your soul is like coming in with these. Your soul has these, like, you're a master of, let's say I'm a Scorpio, south node, right? So I came in mastering astrology. I'm a master of the underworld, right? And I'm going towards north node. So this is what my soul needs to learn in order to evolve out of this game, or at
Right.
least through this level. So it's like you come through and out of these nodes with your soul, and you come in and out of these nodes into the game. And now that I think about this, the woman's womb is a node that you come through, and it's the only way that we're taught about through into this game, right?
The only way.
The only way into this game. I think all the government zones, like in Peru, VIX in Peru, and Area 54 are portals. Oh, dropping bars.
Yes,
Please, blessings.
yes, Imani. That's what I was gonna say. About the Bermuda Triangle, like portal energy. Hey, girl.
Peace.
Peace. Welcome back.
How are you guys
Wow.
today?
How are you?
I'm wonderful.
That yellow's looking good on you. Channeling Oshun today, huh? I see you. Okay. I said Mount Shasta is a portal. You know, I really want to go to Mount Shasta. I might have to go down next year. The portal in the Grand Canyon isn't accessible to civilians. Yes. And Veggie, backing off what Imani just said about Area 54. So the Grand Canyon is heavily guarded, like, if not heavier than than Area 54, right? There's a lot. They've hinted to the Grand Canyon a lot. Like, even in Westworld, like, they entered and exit through to this game through the Grand Canyon. And when I saw that, I was like, this is why we can't go near it. They have a whole bunch of underground tunnels in the Grand Canyon. And actually, Imani, I don't know if you remember this, but you tweeted something back in like 2020. You said, you were like, I'm going to come back to this. This is what you said in your tweet. You're like, I'm going to come back to this, but there's something about the cross in LA, like the huge cross in LA and Osiris. And I don't know if you knew it at the time. You were like just channeling this, but this is where a lot of ancient Egyptian history dates back into that area, like Los Angeles, Utah, like that entire area. Like California used to be an island. Like if
Mhm.
you look on a lot of older maps, 1600 maps, they used to call California an island, right? And that's where if you can trace the river Euphrates all the way back, like to California. And so all like the lifeblood, like the life of the United States, the Mississippi River, it feeds every single body of water here. And over there, where California used to be an island, that used to be one of its main miles that he used to go to. I think he was buried there. And you know what? I think it's facts because me and Imani are supposed to do a live, so we're gonna do a live one of these days. But
It's gonna be so good. Oh my goodness.
but there's a lot of Egyptian history buried and found in the Grand Canyon. Yo. All right, so
everybody else in Grand Canyon.
yeah. So I know you just came in. I want to give you all the time and attention. What's on your mind? What you want to?
You know, I'm here to learn and to add however I can, of course, to the wonderful minds that we have here. You were speaking about ancient Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm of the mindset that we are in ancient Egypt. Like, is Egypt. The Egypt that they speak of in Africa is really not the Egypt that you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's a trick, it's an illusion of sorts. And I feel like because you know those who know, there are plenty pyramids, mounds, plenty things that they're putting in Egypt over in Africa that are already here, that have been here. They've just been covering them and, you know, doing away with them, hiding them. That portion I kept getting cut off the live, so I missed a few things.
Yo, like now that you say that, and wow, the energy, like this is a good talk today. I'm just like, wow, the energy is high today. Okay, so for those who don't know, the Great Wall of China was a Tartarian installment, right? That wall was built by Tartarians. It was commissioned to separate Mongolia, that they called it back then, and then the mainland of China. So when they were making their way over here, you would notice like the wall in California, like there's a wall in California that looks like they were separating people from like either they were retreating from or like trying to get away from. But there's a lot of like small isles and things like that in California. And another one relates to Khalifa, right? Queen Khalifa, the dragon queen, the griffin queen. And if you look at, what is that show called, the remix of our history, Game of Thrones. You look at Game of Thrones, the griffin queen, that is Queen Khalifa, right? And so California is named after her. If I believe, like they say, like the Griffith Observatory was built by this guy, like that's nice and all, but if you look at the Griffith Observatory and how it sits over California and you juxtapose it to, like, let's say a Tartarian building in Romania, it looks the same. So I have my own thoughts and theories about the Griffith Observatory and how it sounds close to griffins, like Griffins. So I really think that that was one of the ways that like they were to go and look over the city. Like somebody commented today that spiritual hymn, like the go tell it on a mountain over the hills and like that's what they would do. This is why they had star forts. This is why Detroit started off as a fort, Washington a fort. Like Detroit and Washington are almost the exact identical layout. Like Detroit could be the nation's capital. Anyway, I'm just biased, but anyway, boss up, all my people in the D, boss up. But yes, there's like a lot of this history, like all throughout. Like even if you go to LA, you look at the Union Station, you look at the Eastern Building downtown, you look at I mean, it's all over Los Angeles, heavy. The libraries, it doesn't matter what city you are. Go to your library, go to your Capitol building, you're going to see Tartarian architecture. And so the thing is, y'all attacked Imani for saying this, but I'm gonna say it again with my chest, right? And I said this back in like 2021 or whatever. She said, "Where are the slave ships?" And she said it with her chest.
But where are they?
Okay. Now, here we go. If the phantom time hypothesis is real, and they added 1,000 years, and we went from 586 to 1586, but they brought us over in 1619, then a lot of, like, the dates don't add up. Right. And so Columbus said they came here, or, you know, y'all can't really take anything he says. But anyway, the journal where he personally wrote his thoughts and feelings said that they came here and we were already here. So if they came here and we were already here, that means that the architecture was already here. The buildings were already here. Mm-hmm. You put two and two together, who built them? We did, right? And then they brought in the narrative of slavery because they wanted us to think, they indoctrinated us to think that we were lesser than. They came over here and they actually took us from here and took us other places. They didn't bring us from Africa to here, right? And so the Ford Model T, like the trains, like the subways, the steam, like all of the technology that they came out with after the American Revolution, nah, bro, that was ours. They found it and then they repurposed it through the use of the world fairs. They threw these illustrious world fairs. They were like, we have this new technology, but after the world fair is over, we're going to tear it down. Huh? It was over, like, some of these world fairs was over 50 acres. I don't know if people can perceive how big that is. Huge. Like, if you know how big one football field is, think about like 5 or 6 football fields for one 3-month event. And then all of these buildings, like one building that you call the horticulture building is 20 acres long. And they want us to believe that they built that in a couple of months. They built some of these buildings, a 20-acre building in a couple of months with chisels, with hand tools, and then you only have a horse and carriage to. Have you seen the size of these buildings? A horse and carriage, bruh. Like, they're playing with our intelligence at this point.
I think another thing about that they tell us about that period that plays with our intelligence is that Britain started everything and kind of rose us up from the ashes. and it's a pattern. You know how to say history repeats itself? So it's a pattern of telling us we've brought you everything you've ever wanted without letting us know, like, we already had it, right? Y'all just reset something and, you know, made us forget, dropped ooey gooeys from the sky, and we all forgot, right? we were already there.
Exactly. You look at Adelaide, Australia. You look at London. You look at Paris. The Great Fire of London, 1666. You had orphan trains in where? Australia. Go look at Adelaide, Australia. All of these places where they found us, this is where they took the orphan trains to first. So they're like, nah, we need to go populate this area. So that's why, look at Atlanta. Atlanta's on the 33rd parallel. Like, look at the gold. Like, look at some of the structures in Atlanta. Atlanta has the energy it has because it's only 33rd degree line. And they knew this.
Mm-hmm. I always said I didn't subscribe to the whole out of Africa theory that they fed us. And I don't know if you guys heard of Dane Calloway.
Yes. People kept putting him in my comments.
Yes, listen, he's a great listen. He is all the work, all the research that you want to look up your ancestors to find out where you're from. And he gives like all the proof of, like I've always said, my ancestors weren't slaves. I just,
Mm.
I was like, because I can't, with what's in me, with who I am,
Mm.
that my ancestors, which I felt were more rowdy than we are, because we're a bit docile. We're a bit late. You know, we just kind of let, you know, we're just now getting to where we really want to push back and we want to be rebellious. But our ancestors, we weren't going. They weren't going. Do what?
Mm-hmm.
You want me to? Oh, okay. We were not slaves, but indentured servants, working land, and
Mm-hmm.
they tricked us out of our land. But we were here. I said, I'm indigenous of this land.
Mm-hmm.
I love my African cousins because we are all one.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were everywhere. And I think I kind of missed a little bit of the discussion where you're saying we were this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is our place.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere.
Talk to your ancestors. Talk to your ancestors, your older ones.
The Americas aren't what they say that they are. You know, the Turtle Island comes up. And knowing the history of what this landmass is and whatever. But I was like, I just couldn't get with out of Africa. And I never got into the whole 23andMe, doing the ancestry of
Yo.
You better not.
Okay. Let me go ahead and dive deep on that, right? 23. Okay, and you can't, and I don't want to approach this with saying if you did 23andMe or anything like that, then you're wrong or anything, because some people truly don't know, right? Like you,
Yeah.
and the thing that's sad is like when you're entrusting these companies to be like to have morals, to have ethics, and then you find out like, wait, it's owned by who? It says in the fine print they own my DNA now. Yeah, so that's what they're doing with a lot of these companies, right? They're tricking you, and they're taking your DNA.
DNA tests. That's what they are.
DNA tests.
So here's what I wanted to know, because I didn't believe the whole, we can trace your DNA, your ancestry way back to, you know, to the first man in your family, and put all of these people who are all deceased with no paper trail, just the blood, the living blood that's in you, and connect you with all of them. For me, and I don't even know that much about science, but it didn't make sense here. It just didn't. I couldn't. But what I was going to say was, so I was like, so if that's not the real reason, because they were really trying to get people into this, like, you know, all these promos and just gathering people in. I said, what's the real reason?
Right. And when did you see those promos the most? Around COVID?
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh, really?
Sorry, Instagram. I mean, shit. I did not mean to say that. Yo, they go. I can't mess up the bag.
Listen.
But look.
So what's the real purpose? Are you trying to find certain people with certain DNA to take them out? Because that's what I think part of the agenda is as well. To look for certain people with certain bloodlines, because that links you to who you are. And, you know, we're spread out all over. I'll say the chosen ones. There's certain things in our DNA. There are certain things in our bloodstream that they know about that we are just now finding out about. And they're possibly trying to link. That's just where my mind went.
Yeah. So they can trace us back, right? Because like the history was destroyed. Like, so quite literally it goes, like the American Revolution, the War of 1812, all of that was to destroy everything that was already here, to kill off the indigenous people, to kill off more of us, right? And so they brought plagues, they brought sicknesses, illnesses. So once they plagued us all, once they killed us off, like killed enough of us off, then somehow the story goes that the mud was heated enough to liquefy, and some of these buildings started to sink. And so the mud flood happened, a lot of history was erased, right? And so then they come in, they start to, if you look at a lot of these photos from the 1800s, you can see destitute cities. Like, it's completely empty cities. And at first I was like, then who took the photo? Anyway, it's like you see completely empty cities. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so you see, like, back in the day, like the Art Institute of Detroit, or you see like Grand Central Station in New York, and like these huge buildings, huge. I'm like, wait a minute. So they have a library that can fit like 1 million people for like 5 people just walking around outside. So you have like empty streets, huge buildings, doesn't add up at all. So they all of the kids, like the melanated kids, they put into these orphan asylums. And then when these kids got older, they turned the kids from the orphan asylums into what we call slaves. And then they take that small history of us turning it, like being indentured servants, working on these fields, and then they say, okay, this happened for 400 years, this happened for this amount of time. I truly, whenever, and I have my degree in African studies, so imagine me being in school and talking to my professors, asking these questions and combating them about this don't add up. So trust me, I've been doing this for the past how many years. So they take us, and then they want us to say, they want us to believe, okay, we brought you over here on boats, even though they can't prove the vehicles, even though a lot of the Dutch shipping companies, like a lot of time and dates, manufacturers, the way that the boats they say were built, it doesn't add up. So they want us to believe that they brought us over here on boats and we survived with no food, we survived with no water for how long? The body doesn't work like that. So they take this short history, right, of us working on these fields and them whipping us and then taking photos of them whipping us, and then they put us in these schools and they teach us, you were this for 400 years, you ain't nothing but a no good nigga, you a slave, you a slave. And then they make movies about it, you a slave, you a slave, you a slave. Then they sign on these rappers to these deals, you a slave, buy a chain, buy a chain, buy a car, buy a car. And then they get you to make all of the money from your 9 to 5 on the you know what I'm saying, like whatever the rapper's telling you to buy, these Jordans, and then like you can't catch them financially. And so they have you in a trap. Like they have us, most of us, in a loop from birth.
Yeah.
While they're over here going up, and they keep, because it's like, you ever thought, why do they hate us so fucking much? It's because they know who we are. We don't know who we are. They won't teach us who we are. They keep teaching us that we were slaves, and then they keep popping up with these new movies with the Uncle Tom, like Will Smith.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like he has to make up for slapping, you know, his humiliation ritual, whatever. So they keep, imagine if they keep trying to tell you something, then it's, you have to look and see what's the real history.
Wow.
You have to look, why do they hide the Moors so much? Why do they hide the blacks in Rome? We were in Romania, we were in Rome, we were in India, we were in Spain,
Right.
we were everywhere.
Right. Yes.
They want us to think that Julius Caesar was the greatest emperor in Rome, but they don't tell you about the black ones before him. So anyway, I get a little angry when I get, because it's like, they want us to like,
when you
boycott.
when you really think about the time of the Industrial Revolution and all they want you to think that was packed into that time period,
Right.
You got the establishment of the United States.
Facts.
You
Facts.
know, that's a huge one, you know, right there. So in this time period, you're telling me you done came over here and established a new country, and still y'all still gonna fight the War of 1812 a few years later, and have all of these huge little battles you got the battles of New Orleans. They were fighting at Niagara Falls.
Come on.
You know, like, why?
Come on. Right?
You know.
I mean, you look at everywhere, like you look at there's a lot of research needs to go into Iowa. There's a lot of history in Iowa. There's a lot of history in like Washington, Utah, especially. I really want to like just travel around and like just dig deep in all these places. I probably will one day. But what if the manipulation started like way, way, way sooner than what we can perceive, because there was a time before the moon was here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ancients speak about a time before the moon was here, and one day the moon just like poof, it just showed up. And what we know about the moon, what does it do for women, right?
Controls our
That's sacred blood, right? So the moon, for some reason, it makes women, it does this to your body, right? Another thing that I believe, I wrote this down. I said, what if the moon was placed here to keep things limited? And by that, to stop them from growing, because trees used to touch, they say, the heavens. Animals used to be 10 times bigger. There used to be giants, so we used to be bigger. Even if you look around here in Detroit, like the doorways are huge. Like it looks like a lot of these buildings were made for like 9, 10 foot people walking around. So what if the moon was here? Because in moonlight things decay. I don't know if y'all know this, but in sunlight things grow, in moonlight things decay. So what if the moon was here to like kind of stunt our growth, to like say you can only like grow to a certain amount, like to
and I'm right while you're saying that, the water, right? Because the water, the tides are controlled by the moon. We're also mostly made of water as well. I didn't mean to cut you off, but continue.
No, that's a bar. Wow. That's a fact, because when it's a full moon, people go crazy, right?
Yes.
But that's what the moon is. It represents emotions, you know? And we're not ruled by emotions, but emotions govern a lot of who we are, how we are. And the moon having some effect on us, I mean, that's gotta mean something. So that's why a lot of people who now are in the know, the ones who know, use the moon to benefit us. Where they try to use it, you know, to hinder us, we're using it, the benefits of the moon, to catapult us, you know, the magic of the moon, the magic in us, that we work with the moon to undo or overdo the things that they try to do to limit us. I think that's part of it.
Look, if it's controlling our emotions, you know how a lot of times when you're on like a spiritual quest or like a fasting, right? And it's all about controlling your emotions, letting them come, but not letting them take you over and, you know, control you, and you don't become your emotions. Like, I've had a lot of, you know what I mean?
You know what, that I think about it too. Imani just dropped another bar. Stopped working with moon magic, started working with sun, and got rich. Now, one of the first coins that you see here in the formation of America, what they tell us is the coin that has like the sun on it, right? It was like sun worship. And a lot of these older buildings with the Tartarian architecture, guess what it has on it? It has sun worship. So it's like they took our version of the sun worship, and then they made their version like Apollo, the sun god, and stuff like that. But it's really taken from us. And I just got this download, right? Somebody put in the comments, and the sun and the moon is like the eyes of the sun and moon, right? So upon seeing that, I'm like, okay, if the eyes are the sun and the moon, because as above, so below, why do you think they build pyramids everywhere? Look at your nose. Right? You have your nose, you have the two openings on the bottom, right? And then you have the sun and the moon going in rotation, right? And then you have the mouth, the inner earth at the bottom. So every single continent that you go to, you'll find the same, not only symbols like the sun and the moon, but you'll find the same technology, right? So one of the ways that like they didn't, you know, you don't really find plugs in a lot of these buildings. Like when you go to these buildings, they don't say like, let me go plug on my phone real quick, because a lot of their roofs were copper. A lot of their roofs had antenna on them, right? The same way that you build a battery, they just took the components of the battery, split them, and put them on a roof and supply themselves with free energy. Every home like had this. And then the way that they supply free energy is that they had these you can call them like power centers in the middle of the city. So these power centers sent out, like they collected energy from the ether, free energy that we could be doing today. They collected energy from the ether, right? And then they supplied that back into the homes. Free electricity. When you need healing, you go to church, you get the free, like you get that realignment. Like you either get sound frequencies or you get those frequencies from the ether, which in a way is sound. Yeah, so another thing that you'll find is this, they were like, the way that we treated their passing, right? We really believed in reincarnation. We really believed in the journey of the soul. So at one time, they, the way that, I think it's called, I forget the name of the 3 pyramids. If anybody knows the name of the 3 pyramids in Mexico, they line up the same way the 3 pyramids in Egypt line up. And I'm pretty sure if you were to dig deep enough, you could find mounds here in the United States that line up the same way. And what these pyramids and mounds represent is Orion at one point. And yeah, our ancients believed that, you know, you came here, you lived out this life, your soul learned what it had to learn, and then after you left, your soul went to Orion and went on this adventure through the stars, and your soul would return here based off the life that you live here. And so a lot of these mounds, a lot of these star forts, these star cities, a lot of them were preservation centers. A lot of them were like, they really, really cared about why we were here. They cared about the journey of the soul. They cared about if you were living the right life. Like, they didn't have these major divisions of like religion, of like, where you from, what, you know, black, white, like all this stuff. Like, it was like, I can't say this in certainty like I was there yesterday, but it's like sometimes you just get these downloads and then you do research later and you're like, shit, I was like, the download was right. You know what I'm saying? So that's just like your ancestors be like, go ahead, baby, I got you. Say the words, say them words. You know what I'm saying? So like a lot of what you saw at the beginning of the American Revolution, like, and a lot of what you saw in these world fairs was what they took from us, our fashion, our technology, the antiquitech. If you go to any church, any antique church, you'll see the huge long poles on the roof. We took that technology and, like, I don't know if you guys remember back in the, I'm an 80s baby, so I ain't gonna say my age. Anyway, 85, but we had these antennas, right, back, like, for your TV.
Yeah.
And so you like, they still kept the antiquitech technology from the civilizations that were here before, and we just, without them even making too many modifications to them, they just kept kind of remaking the same thing without being innovative to say, how can we do our own thing? It's like they just, and you can tell, like, with certain people today, they just like, I don't want to offend anybody, but it's like, my people, we kind of like the sauce, we kind of like the flavor, we kind of like give the, like, a lot of people kind of borrow from our culture. Y'all feel me? Like, we kind of start the trends. So if it's happening now,
it's been happening.
Okay.
I just was like, wow. You know, you see antennas everywhere. When you think about it, just like, you know, when you start to look for something,
they stole our shit. And mine said, say it. They stole our
shit.
Stealing our shit.
Were Tartarians black? That is a great question. Well, on Tartarian tablets that I showed earlier, you'll find what language? Was it Hebrew? That's interesting, right? Who spoke Hebrew? Who's
Mm.
still speaking Hebrew?
Mm.
Facts. It's crazy.
Who were the first over here and over there? It's all us
Right.
people.
It is we.
Facts. Yeah, so this is, it's really clear cut and dry at this point. I really think that the reason why they're calling for a great reset is because the time's up. Like they a lot
Yeah.
of so if they a lot of I don't want to confuse people when I say like incubator babies, these foundlings and stuff, like let's call a spade a spade. Like a lot of these children were clones, you know.
Is
They
that
found
pre-reset? Is that like a pre-reset thing? And it just hit because we were talking about this on the last live. So it's when you were talking about the orphanages, right? And this mass boost in population. And I remember you saying like, where did these people come from?
mm-hmm.
So right now we have all these little incubator baby plants and labs and and all of this,
Yeah.
as if they're preparing, to boost population again. You remember I was saying like depopulate who?
Yeah.
To repopulate
Yeah.
with what else?
Yeah, because they can't have babies anymore, right?
Right.
I feel like the baby boomers were clones. Come on with these bars.
Yeah.
Because who, like, Indian women, black women, or African queens, or okay, so you have Africans over in Africa, then you have us, and we still trying to figure out what to call us. Let's call it for what it is. We go back, right? So you have us, you have pretty much everybody that's melanated. They can still have babies, but you have one race that can't really. And I'm not trying to offend nobody. It is what it is, people. So white women can't have babies anymore.
Right. That's what they've been putting on.
And so it's like, how many times can a clone give birth? So
that's a good question.
And here's the thing that's like, have you ever tried to, like, have you ever seen a video of like a Karen, like a supposed Karen, and they just like start to, it looks like if you throw water on a computer and your computer just starts to go, like, yeah. And so when you look at them, it's like their eyes start to go, and it's like, wait a minute, that's like literally, without even trying to be funny, you're looking at like, does not compute, it's so when you go against the programming, when you go against like what they were taught, when you go against like they were made, they were programmed, they only know one thing. You can only ask them certain questions. Just like when you go to a video game, now it's like you can learn things and regurgitate things. You can seem like you're not an NPC, but we know what it is. But anyway, so if you go against them, this is why they used to have these hanging parties. This is why they used to have like killers the way they hunt us down. Who with the soul can do that? I feel wrong when I kill a fly sometimes. I'm like, bro, you won't get out my house. You gotta go. So it's like, how can you this is where the word picnic comes from, right? Right? Because they used to pick up and then hang. So and they used to have postcards, and like they used to like send each other postcards for Christmas with us hanging on the cards. So in my head, I'm like, yo, these like souls don't exist in that body. Soul ain't here. You know what I'm saying? And this ain't, I'm not being hyperbolic. This is what it is. And it was actually a lot worse than what I'm saying right now.
That's
right. And this whole time was through the time of the foundlings, right? Through the time of the foundlings, when you just had all of these hundreds of thousands new babies going to Australia, going to London, going to Paris, here in the States. They were shipping them everywhere. It's like incubator babies, they introduced incubators was, okay, if a woman has a premature baby, then we take that premature baby, we're going to put it in the incubator, put it in the microwave, and then that little kernel's going to come out really healthy. Bruh, how many women were having premature babies because y'all had hundreds and thousands of babies up in those microwaves? Yeah.
My daughter, my first daughter was premature. And I remember them putting her in those incubators. I remember them doing so many blood transfusions on her because she kept getting sick, which made absolutely no sense. She was small. She needed more time, but the way she would just get sick, it was like whenever it was close to time to go home, miraculously, she would just get sick again. And they would do spinal taps and blood transfusions after blood transfusions. I remember an incident where they did a blood transfusion and did not call me. It was the first one they did, I think. The way I went off on I'm surprised they even, they didn't ban me because it was bad. It was bad. They just, and it was like, oh, well, it was an emergency and we had to do it split, had make a split second decision or whatever. Absolutely not. And after all of these things, the doctor came in after she had grown some and she was getting to a healthy place where I could take her home. And he came in to speak curses over my child and say, she won't be able to do this. She won't be able to do that. She'll be developmentally delayed here, there. And I stopped him right in his tracks. I said, the devil is a lie and the deceiver too. I was like, not only will she do things on time, but she'll be advanced in everything she do, in her growth, as far as how her body develops, how her brain functions, how she functions in life. When I tell you, life and death is in the tongue, you got to watch people. But not only did she do exactly what I spoke her to do. First in her class, gifted all through school, honors and all of these things, walking at 6 months. Like, I was like, they talking about these pandemic babies doing things early. I was like, oh, my baby been doing stuff early.
You know what? I never felt like, I've always felt like when I see, even when my sister gave birth in the hospital, I just always felt like they don't care about Black bodies, and somebody, like, I pinned this comment because she said, I did wonder because I consume my placenta and wonder what they do for hospital. Like, I think there's a whole market for placentas, yo.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
just like there's a market for fetuses, like when people have abortions, I don't think they take the fetus and go, okay, discard it. I think they take the fetus, and this is why you have, and I'm sorry for whoever eats Beyond Meat, but it's the reason why you have Beyond Meat factories next to Planned Parenthoods. I'm gonna just say that.
There's something in there. There's something that they do. It's something that's to do with flavoring as well, like artificial flavoring that they're putting in some of these foods, well, a lot of the food, most of the food. So the candy, a lot of that stuff has your DNA. You know how they say you are what you eat, right? And a lot of times you are some of what you're eating if you're not watching what you're eating.
Yeah, because I mean, when your baby's in there, that's the feeding tank, right? The placenta, that's where they get the nutrients and everything from. So if the placenta is coming from like the Black woman, you know what I'm saying? Like we already know about the Black woman.
Right.
Come on. So if the placenta is coming from the Black woman's body, if it was produced with all of your goodness, and that goodness was to go to the baby, and then the baby's born, and then the placenta is just supposed to be thrown away? Nah, I don't think so. So, yeah.
My granddaughter was 2 months, and we had to rush her to the Children's Hospital in Tennessee, in Memphis, Le Bonheur. And after they did all the procedures they had to do, and it was time for her to go home, they said, well, they took so much blood from her. Because we started out in the hospital in Mississippi, and they took blood trying to find out what was going on with her, and then they said, oh, we got to ship her to Le Bonheur, to the Children's Hospital, so we can have all these things done. They're better equipped for blah blah blah. Okay, great. Now my mind says, okay, you took all of this blood from her here, surely you're shipping her, you're gonna ship the blood with her because they need that, right? Oh no, we're going to take more blood when we get there, because that's what they tried to do. and they were trying to take so much blood. I cut up in there. So after she had gotten well from being in there a few days, a lady comes in and says, "Hi, we had some blood left over because you took too much. We had some blood left over, and we were wondering if we could keep it." And I said, "Who?" I said, "Absolutely not." Well, and so she tried to convince me, "Oh, we use it, to give it to other, children that may come in, may need blood, blah, blah, blah." Well, no, absolutely not. Well, we
Yes, I mean, let's.
do
I'm gonna.
on it.
Yeah.
I was like, dispose of it. I should have asked for it. No, go put it in my hand because I need that. Because they give it to all these vampire people.
Yeah.
Who
blood banks, sperm banks.
Yes.
I mean, let's talk about it.
All the
Think
banks.
about it. Like, who created think about the American Heart Association, the Red Cross. I mean, just look at their symbols. It tells you, like, if you look at, so here's how the elites work, right? It's a reason why the caduceus is on every hospital you see. Like, the caduceus, and the way that I see it now that I'm thinking about it, is before you go into the hospital, the elites have to tell you, "Hey, I love you too." Thank you for saying that. Before you go into the hospital, they have to show you the symbol. That symbol has to be outside because the symbol is telling you you can heal yourself. You don't have to come in here. So the elites, it's like they have to tell you what they're doing before they do it. Like, for some reason, that's like some type of cosmic law, right?
Yeah.
So before you enter a hospital, they have the caduceus on the hospital that's saying you can heal yourself. That's your kundalini energy. That's the snakes going, like, that's your healing energy, right? It's a whole kundalini type of, symbolism that's going on. All you have to do is, like gene therapy, all you have to do is think that you're healed, the placenta effect. So if you can heal yourself by thinking that you're healed, placentas, I mean, it's been proven, I'm not just making this up. So that is the caduceus. It's saying, so I saw this on Twitter the other day, and I need to look into this, but it just makes sense. Somebody said that when you have a tumor, like when you have cancer, that tumor is the body putting, like, saving itself, like putting all of the disease in that little sac in the tumor, and it's regenerating cells. It's healing itself as the body does. Like it says it, even though I have my own thoughts about the Bible, it tells you so many times you can heal yourself. So hospitals really don't even need to exist, because sometimes if you just leave something alone, or if you give it the right herbs, there's a plant for every ailment, then you can heal yourself, and you don't need to go get cut open, because when you cut open a tumor, then you're releasing the cancer back into the bloodstream, and then you're being counterproductive. Like, the body, just leave it alone. The body tells you what it needs. Sometimes it'll come up in a thought, a vision. Like, you might just randomly think, like, damn, I really want some parsley right now. You can be in Italy, you could be on your honeymoon. You might just think, like, damn, I really want some lemon right now. That's your body saying, this is what I need in order to get better.
Yeah.
So the hospitals know this. Like, if you go through med school, you can pass with a D average. They only want you to know how to prescribe medicine.
Yep.
When you go to med school, they say so when an athlete's like in high school, then you got Nike saying, like, yo, boy, I want that body. You go be on the Pistons. I'm giving you $1 million. They trying to get them already. So when you go to med school, you got the big pharma saying, like, yo, boy, we got this new drug. You about to graduate. I'm going to really need you to pump this to all of your customers. And then when you pump that new Viagra seal, whatever it's called, Vita seal, something, to your customers, then they give you money on the back end. You start to get bonuses from this big pharma. And I'm not just making, like, I've done the research. This happens. It's happening right now as we speak. Big pharma, they'll find people, who to go through these stages, and then they'll end up becoming like the U.S. health ambassador, or right. they'll find the most obedient NPC to say like, okay, I think this NPC is programmed right. We can work with him. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they do. So if you never mess with Big Pharma, you can heal yourself. They killed Kobe, right? So they showed Kobe's death in a cartoon before he died because this is how they do it. Kobe was going against Big Pharma, and it was something to do with like somebody said it was like a black mamba, like trade or like trademark or something like that. I don't know. I don't really know the full story. I'm not gonna pretend like I do. But he was going up against Big Pharma, and they got hitters, boy. So his days were numbered. So anytime that you go up against Big Pharma, like look at the past. Anybody that tries to stop Big Pharma or go up against them, if you don't get in line, then this is what they want you to think, that you would be killed. And so this is how they keep us
controlled.
This is how they keep us controlled because they don't want us to know that it's only like 10 dudes behind in a closed room against millions and billions of us.
Come on,
like,
Wizard of Oz.
Like, have you ever seen that movie Ants?
Yes.
You know the theme from that movie when it's like they don't want you to, like, I'm paraphrasing, but it's like they can't find out there's only a few of us against all of them or else we'll be doomed. Like that's the thing right now. It's like sometimes I'm baffled to how they got us to give them 8 hours of our time every single day. Every single day. They got us to pay taxes. They got us to actually pay to live. Like we pay to live in these buildings when we can build our own building. Like sometimes I don't think about this anyway. Or sometimes I think about this and it doesn't add up. It's like our ancestors, our predecessors used to build, they used to go find land, used to be like, this looks good, but put sticks and shit together. You know what I'm saying? We go camp right here. We ain't paying nobody a dime.
But seriously.
And so they established a government, White Astros, they established a government and decided to dictate how we're going to live. Be a law that you like tithing with the church. Not only did the church control your like the date and the time, they took 10% of what you made. It was a law. So
the church really started it. Is like the background of it all.
Look at the Vatican. The Vatican itself is an entire mud flooded city, yo. Like they like King Solomon's Temple, like a bunch of these stories that they tell us how these places came to be. After this talk, go look at the Vatican. Go look at the Vatican and go see what they have. Like look at their buildings and look at the mud flooded buildings and tell me that it's not what you will find down here in any U.S. state, any U.S. capital. Because one of the ways that they hide our history is that they'll take the Tartarian architecture and then they'll call it downtown, they'll call it the capital. They'll inherit these buildings and then they want us to think that they made these buildings.
Founded in.
A lot of these buildings say founded in, and when I go and I try to find the blueprint for a lot of these buildings, it's just a picture. It's no numbers, it's no measurements, it's no like we're going to place. It's like not them thinking like, okay, this is how we're going to do something. Because I'm no architect, but when you go to, like when I make a sandwich, I even think about, oh, this shit's about to be slapping. This is gonna be this layer. I might not write it down, but I'm a Cancer, so maybe, maybe. Yeah. So like. I'm saying that to say, like, you got a game plan for even, like, the most minute things in your life. So if you got a whole 81-story building, you don't have any blueprint. Like, you just said, I'm a master mason. I'm going to lay this one brick, and no. Like, please research the book building here in Detroit. Please research the Empire State Building. They say they built the Empire State Building in 1 year, y'all. Like, have you seen the size of the Empire State Building in 1 year?
Mm.
I'm gonna look into it.
They got construction photos, but like we got Photoshop too.
Right.
So yeah. All right, y'all. So it's 5:22. Let's go ahead and start to get more. Let's start to narrow down some of these topics so we can. I know y'all got places to be. So what else is on your mind? Because we don't.
I know we were talking. Just go to the portal points of the Bermuda Triangle, and I think you had put a comment from Imani earlier. There is there's not always something going on in the Bermuda Triangle, but I do believe that there are certain periods of time when the agonic line passes through and the
Yeah.
magnetic field is at that 0 degrees. I believe that that's when these things are kind of popping off right here, because if it's the magnetic line, then it also has to do with the electromagnetic field, of course, which we know runs everything smoking around here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the sweet spot, or the sweet spot for the disappearances.
Yo, I see y'all put in 1899. If y'all haven't seen that, please go watch it. That's probably my favorite show of the year. I'm probably gonna watch it again, honestly, because God, that show hit like the show Dark hit. Like you can tell. I really need to tap in to see who the writer is, because yo, the things that they were saying, like I love when people put thought into like the dialogue, like the words. I'm like, oh, say that word again. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a logophile. I love words. But
What's the
yeah,
name?
it's called 1899.
The next
1899.
1890.
It's on Netflix. Yeah. So one of the things that the ancients believed, especially like some of the ancient Asians, which is still us, but anyway, if you take like the modern day Asians, what they believed, like Mount Meru, right? Mount Meru was located the same place the Garden of Eden was. And you notice with a lot of my lectures, it all comes back to the same effing place. Anyway, so Mount Meru, the Garden of Eden, Hyperborea is all at the same place. So star cities, if you look at star cities, and I tweeted this, if you look at star cities and you look at Mount Meru, it's the same type of thing. It's like it looks like kind of like the Tower of Babel. It's like a lot of these ancient structures, they always have like the same type of look, like it's a message. I feel like a lot of these ancient structures are more, they're talking more than it's just like, I'm going to build this because it looks nice. I feel like it's a language, right? Especially I was watching this show. I can't even think of the name, on Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix, Graham Hancock. So a lot of these ancients, what they did was like, even Stonehenge, is you can see like on winter solstice, the way that the sun will line up and the way that the moon will line up, and a lot of these megaliths. It's like not only were they studying the movements of the stars, but they knew, okay, when this star meets up with this star and it's in this position at this latitude, some shit's gonna be fucked up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
like they're saying
they were
something for that exact moment.
right, or they were recording something in time, like, okay, our history, our village just got wiped out on this day, so we're going to remember the star positions as messages to like the people that come after us or something. Because there's one place, I don't know where it is, it could there's one ancient civilization where they drew a line, and it says, if you're seeing this line, that means you're in trouble. I think it was in Germany, or I don't know where it is, but it's one of these ancient sites, right? And they say, if you're seeing this line, then it's in trouble. And we're at that line, right? We're at the place where I don't think that it's like a great reset. Like, I don't want to give them that much power and say like they can great reset us, because we are more powerful than them. So I think it's something that they know with the positions of the stars. Like, it's something that they're almost foreseeing that's coming. Just how, like, the ancients, I think that's why a lot of them built these star cities, because they knew what was coming. They had to get to the highest ground, because if the flood comes again, and I'm thinking about this as I talk, if the flood comes again, then we're going to go to the highest point, right? we're going to um, we're going to avoid disaster. And that's why a lot of these ancients, that's why a lot of them all have the same like communication systems. And the reason I say communication systems is if you go from the magnetic North Pole and you take a Fibonacci sequence from the magnetic North Pole and you take it at all the latitude and longitude lines, and you can do this with the latitude and longitudes on a natal chart. If you look at the latitude and longitudes of the Fibonacci sequence, you can find sometimes what we hit on what we call ley lines, or what we hit on we call like these power lines.
Yeah.
And these power lines is where you'll find the Great Pyramid. It's where you'll find the pyramids in Mexico. It's where you'll find mounds here in the States. It's like the ancients knew for some reason, like they knew, like even if you go to it's this Serpent Mound in Ohio, like the ancients knew what am I trying to say here? Like the ancients knew how to tap into this energy. They knew where the line was, they knew how to build there, and what they did was they will build something like an entire like small village, and then they'll build on top of the village, like almost as if they were hiding the village. So it's like what they really wanted to access was what they built like the village, and then they were built like this protective layer around. So this is why when you go inside the pyramids, or if you go inside mounds, you'll find like an underground city.
Mm-hmm.
And so like a lot of there are a lot of underground tunnels here in the States, right? And a lot of the underground tunnels, since the mud flood happened, were roads for our predecessors, because their civilizations got buried. And so as time went on, we start to find these roads. And now, to this day, right now, a lot of trafficking, y'all know exactly what trafficking I'm talking about. I can't say it.
Yep.
So a lot of trafficking takes place with these underground tunnels. You can go from California to Philadelphia underground, right? And they teach us two different histories about the Underground Railroads. One history is that the Underground Railroad was fictitious and it was just a network of houses and homes. And then another history, what I was taught in school, is that it was a literal Underground Railroad. Underground. Harriet Tubman with her Nikes on, running from New York to Mississippi. I don't know how she did it. Do y'all know how long it takes to drive from
Look,
anyway?
Jumping through the water. That
right?
You posted, yo.
I mean, black women, y'all strong, y'all strong. But yo, barefoot running from New York to
I
a few times. Don't
stop
forget
playing
she did it.
with my intelligence.
I have
right?
I
So
Harriet Tubman was a fictional character.
I mean, they give us these heroes because they want us to be like, yeah, that's my champion of slavery. She did it. And all of the heroes that they give us is like Frederick Douglass, slavery.
Yep.
What's his name?
Nat
Nat Turner, slavery. It's like they want our history wrapped up and intertwined with Trump and slavery. So that's why we're so disharmonious with each other. Like that's why, I mean, we're starting to connect. I strongly believe like we're actually starting to see why we are disconnected and start to come together again. Maybe I'm being overly optimistic, but this is what I believe. So like I'm starting to see, you know, when I'm walking in the streets and I'm seeing my brothers, we do the head and I'm like, oh shit, because before during COVID, it was a little, you do this and you're like, he ain't do it. You know what I'm saying? Because when you do the head nod and the brother don't do it, you like, he going through it because that's a. So anyway, it's like the more that we can connect, the more that we can exchange these stories, the more that we can exchange these ideas, get into close circles without our phones so they're not listening. Whenever we can truly connect and exchange like our ancestors used to exchange, then I think that we'll start to figure out like, wait, we actually don't need the government. And this is why Liberia was started, because our ancestors was like, wait, hold up, we don't need America. Liberia was not a country. They went over and created Liberia. I don't know if y'all know about this, but Liberia is a colony of Americans. It's not Africa. It's not. It wasn't like an African country started by Africans. It's all Americans. So it's our ancestors from America who was like, you know what, we getting the fuck up out of here, and that's how Liberia got started. For those who don't know, so when we get together and we start to figure out like, holy shit, like we can do this on our own. And I know a lot of people are scared because a lot of people are connected to like welfare. They're connected to being spoon-fed by the government. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to really go out there on their own. But when you realize the power, when you realize that we built this came from us, and we're connected to these lands, we're connected to these buildings, these architectures, we're connected to each other. And that's why they do everything that they can to disconnect us from each other. So essentially, the more that we come together and the more that we realize that we're better together, the more that we evolve as a people. Because we shouldn't be killing each other for Jordans. We shouldn't be killing each other for chains, for any material. You know what I'm saying? These are just tools of division. We shouldn't be saying like, oh, you're a Baptist, I'm a whatever, you name the religion. So we can't sit together and break bread. We should be able to break bread and have these have this type of dialogue with each other, you know? And so I think that we're come on, Imani, come up here. What you thinking? But I mean, it don't gotta be, listen, it ain't all, even at your own family reunion, you'll probably got beef. So it ain't go all be peaches and cream, but all your skin folk,
Right.
y'all know what I'm saying? Y'all got them, how do I say this? Y'all ever seen Get Out?
Yep.
So y'all got a lot of black people that don't really think they black. They think they got a huge black birthmark. So what I'm saying when I say that is you got a lot of people that, in the words of Imani, get that white man out your head. So you got a lot of us that don't want to be us, and they work against us, and they are worse than your enemy at all times, because they be on the front line for the enemy. So, you know, you can't, just like Malcolm X was, you know, MLK, you got people that will infiltrate your circle and take you out for the other man. Look at Nipsey, rest in peace. So like we can't all come together, but some of us can.
For those of us who can. For those of us who can.
Some of us can. You know what I'm
Discernment
saying?
is advised.
Like individuals.
Yeah, and I saw you post something earlier, Imani, where you said, stop being nice. Like, a lot of these things, too, they trick us with words, right? One of the first things that they tell you when you go to church is what? Be humble. Have you ever seen the definition for humble?
Trash.
You want to be weak. So a lot of words are what? Spells, right? Words are spelling, right? They cast spells. So this language with all of its fallacies, it ain't even our language. Y'all think we would we would have all of this godly technology, have all of these buildings, and have words that you have read and read spelled the same, but we're supposed to know how to pronounce them when we see them?
Oh my!
It ain't our language.
When you really
it ain't our language.
About it, when you really think about the English language, it's like, who the hell, who made this shit up?
Right.
You know, it really has to be a joke, because even teaching it. So, you know, my youngest daughter does speech therapy, and I will tell you, the English language is so repetitive. Like, a lot of how they teach us how to read is sight words. It's repetitive sounds. It doesn't really, there's no heart to the language.
Facts.
It's a lot of trickery, but you know, there's no heart to it. So when you really look at it, it's like it don't make sense.
Yeah. Like sometimes I think like, man, when they find our shit for like 2,000 years, they gonna be looking back at our shit like, what was twerk? What does it mean to? What is get crunk? What were these people on? So like, if you look at our predecessors, they had these symbols. Like they had sun, fireball in the sky. Like they recorded what they saw. They were serious about this shit.
Yeah.
This was their life. They were like, okay, let's go come out the stars today. But us, it's like,
they had
man, we were so
direct meaning for each word. Had a direct meaning.
Yeah, it's like they could look at symbols and then they felt something like hieroglyphics, right? They didn't write down like sentences. It was just like they had these, it was almost like a secret. Like it was almost like like you had to know what these symbols meant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I wonder if those symbols were used to divide, because like it was like some people knew what the symbols meant and some people didn't, the same way you had lower class and upper class. Anyway,
I think because well, I think it was quoted when we decided to use communication other than telepathy, because that's how we spoke. I think telepathy was our first language, is our language, and speaking verbally is a lower form of communication. And I think writing, and I don't know why I'm thinking this now, writing is a higher form of communication than speaking is. Because though they both have power, it's something about when you write something down versus just hearing something, it, you know, the way it generates in the mind, the way it holds.
Kinetic energy. It's like you're literally manifesting it, right? It's just like how when you write something down before a test, you'll retain it better versus like saying it. It's that kinetic energy. It's like it's literal energy in motion. So you're saying like, this is what I want. It's like, and then all you have to do, like every single ancient text, when it talks about magic, it says literally, I took a screenshot of this and it's a passage from the Bible. It says, if you believe what you are manifesting is already yours, I'm paraphrasing, then it is true. Like all you literally have to do is write it down, believe that it already happened, and just wait for it, because we in 3D, third density, takes a little while. Yep. So when you write it down, just wait, know that it's already yours, do the work you need to do. Don't just write it down and be like, yeah, that shit's on its way to me, boy. No, you got to write it down, do the work, and make it real.
I would say not believe, but know. Knowing is believe. It's knowing. Write it, know it, and it happens, because believing is a whole nother,
fact.
So know it.
Exactly. You have to know it. Yes, that's so true. You have to know it versus believing it. Because if you know that it's already happening, then it's just, your brain doesn't know the difference. It's like when you think about something, like, let's say something happened to me yesterday, like I dropped my food, like, and I was mad about it, and I have a certain emotion. Every time I think about it, I just like, I really wanted that falafel. You know what I'm saying? I digress. So if let's say you drop your food, and every time you think about it, you think about that falafel, your stomach you start to get a little uneasy. It's because the emotional signature, right? Every emotion, every thought has an emotion attached to it. So if you start to think about your breakup, your brain's going to start to feel those same feelings. You're going to start to go through the breakup again, because your brain doesn't know the difference between you actually experiencing something and you thinking about something. That's why virtual reality is what it is, you know?
Oh my goodness. I was going to say, that's why the Matrix is what it is.
Come on now. Come on now. Facts.
Like, for real.
The only reason you think anything is real, the only reason you think this is tangible, is because the electric signal that's sent to your brain. Like your brain could be in a case somewhere and you could just be there and you think that you're experiencing all this, but it's just like somebody doing this to your brain, which is really dope. And it's like, you can't prove that we are not in a simulation. right? So if you start to talk about, and this is where timelines like get confused. Let's be completely honest. Let's talk about the shit that everybody thinks about, right? So if this is a simulation, then you have at a point you have to start to go like, okay, like timelines matter when I'm thinking about like this happened, this happened, and this happened. But like if it's a simulation, then none of that really matters. It's just about right now and why am I here? How did I get here? You don't really have to worry about that too much. You might go crazy, but it's like, why am I here? And what's this all about? Because I can tell you what it's not about, right? It's not about working as 9 to 5. It's not about this shirt versus this shirt. It's not about any of it. It's literally about what the ancients, like I use the ancients as like, they probably have fuck ups. They did their own thing. But for the most part, they were obsessed with why we are here, the soul, the journey of the soul, prana, energy, life force. And it's like the more that you tap into that, right? Like you can be the most, non-spiritual part. Like you could never, like, let's just say you never try to even tap into spirituality. You eat McDonald's every day. You're literally a program. You can meditate once and it will change your life. The ancients knew this. Church has to be so to you. You have to, like, somebody has to tell you, like, to come into this building and sit down, right? And I don't want to generalize all churches because the church is what you make it. This is a church. But I think that it's cool when you can go to certain centers and vibe with like-minded people. So I don't want to all churches. But the trap of church is you can only get this healing here. You're doing the right thing by being here. This is what God wants you to do. Give me your tithes. Praise the pastor because I'm an appointed man. Like I'm a godly man, even though I'm touching on the little boys in the back. Let's keep it a buck. So a lot of these churches, they make money off of what the bigger picture should be anyway. You go to church because your soul wants to learn more. Your soul is craving the reason for being. And you think that you have to go to church to tap into that when really church is what you make it. Right now, this is church.
Yeah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Amen. I say.
Amen. Can I get a?
Yeah.
Okay. So church is what you make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I really think this quote from Tesla like rings true. And I'm going to talk about Tesla in a second too. But when Tesla said the more that you study the supernatural, the more that I'm paraphrasing. I don't know why I can't think of these quotes today. But it's like the more that you think about the supernatural, the more the world would change. Something to that extent. So the more that you tap into like free energy, the more you tap into like how can I get my soul to leave my body without dying? Like, because there's a way to do that. It's been done. So the more that you think about these type of things, like, the more that you have these type of auspicious moments. Let's say you have $5 and you give away $2.50 to people in need, and you do it because it's like, I'm giving because I feel needed, and you're not doing it for any other reason. That $2.50 is going to come back to you times 10. It's like this law that comes with the way that your soul interacts with not only your higher self, but with other people.
Oh, true.
So it's like you can see this in real time. I mean, go try it on Christmas. Go give to the needy. You give away and it comes back to you.
Mm-hmm.
So if it works like that when you interact with people, it works like that with energy, and it works like that with thoughts. So bring it, the law of correspondence. Come on.
Yes.
Come on now, Kabbalion. So the law of correspondence, right? So any word that you say from your tongue is going to come back to you in a form that's the equivalent to that. The same with energy. Any energy that you put out to people. I mean, somebody can be like, hey, how you doing? And you say, fuck you, because you don't feel good that day. Guess what? Guess what? It might not come that same day. It might not come that same week. You could be having the most happiest day ever. You'd be like, hey man, how you doing? And you'd be like, fuck you. You'd be like, oh, karma. Okay, I get it. So that's how it works. So I always tell people, like, yo, man, like, it don't matter if you're by yourself. It don't matter if people are watching. Anything that you do ever, even if you don't think that what you're doing is being seen, it's being recorded. Mm-hmm. Everything that you do in this little game, this little simulation, is being recorded. Your soul is being recorded. And sometimes I think, like, that's why we're here. That's like we're all doing time.
It's like a middle ground, most definitely.
Because when you go to prison, you do time, right? Sometimes I'd be like, we're all doing, like, literally, what are we controlled by in this realm?
That's so true, though. That is so true.
We're doing time. Like,
we definitely pass through and doing time, almost like initiation.
Right?
You know, show me what you got type of.
The moment you're born, what time? What's his birth? What? Come on, man. When you die, what's his death? What? So it's like everything is controlled by time. A life sentence, man. Y'all coming with these bars today. We're doing a life sentence, man. I'm loving this. Yes. So you're doing a life sentence. You're doing time, and this is why the ancients used to say, Kronos, the father of what, used to eat you. It wasn't no man eating babies. I mean, yeah, they do that today. And let me not, hold up. Because y'all know how these people get down. They was eating us literally. So let me not. But anyway, crazy shit. But so the symbolism of Kronos, the father time of Saturn, is that from the moment you're born, you're doing time, or he's eating away at you. So time is eating away at you. The only thing that you're promised when you're born is, besides the slap on the ass if you go to the hospital, is you're gonna die. I mean, let's talk about the slap on the ass too. And I'm gonna go back to Tesla because I said I was gonna talk about that. If y'all have access to a doula, and if you melanated, please tap in. Please tap in so your baby can come into this world with love, with energy, with the right vibrations. Because if you have a baby in the hospital, your baby's gonna come and beep, 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 stat. We have ER. We got a patient shot over here. So y'all gotta, watch the energy that your baby's coming into. And so, segue in what I said I was gonna talk about Tesla. Man, it's 5:50, so let's spend these last 10 minutes because we're at the 2-hour mark. Yo, we get to these 2 hours so fast.
Yeah, we do.
And so with Tesla, I mean, I don't want to take away any credit from the man, but I think he found a lot of what we think that he created, because these orphan trains also went to Serbia. Where's Tesla from? So, just like we found a lot of energy over here and we call it the Ford Model T, or we found a lot of technology over here, we call it the Ford Model T, and the steam powered engines and these trains that came out, they make it hard in the hospitals for doulas. Yeah, that's their job. So I'm saying all this to say that Tesla found the energy. He found the free energy because one of his biggest projects was what? A Tesla tower, right? And so Tesla, South Africa. Oh, please delete that before somebody sees it. No, it wasn't. So the reason why the Tesla tower, boy, y'all just be talking. The reason why the Tesla tower is one of his biggest projects is because if you look at a lot of old world technologies, what do you find? These free energy towers. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think he just rised up one day and was like, oh my God, a Tesla tower. This is the greatest shit ever. I think that he probably found it and was like, how can I repurpose this? How can I rebrand it, put my own spin on it? You feel me? So, and I think that's what's happening. And that is what happened with a lot of new world technology. It was our technology reintroduced to us, remixed, because they at the World Fair they showed us all of this, the world's newest inventions, and then they tore down the World Fairs, and then they kept the inventions, destroying the evidence of the true lineage.
I was just gonna say a lot of new inventions from a certain group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Only.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're right. And you know what's funny too with the Spanish flu, and the connection with these 5G towers. Do you know what technology was being introduced with the Spanish flu? It was towers going up. It was giving off radiation. So the bigger question now is, does the flu exist, or is the flu radiation poisoning? Yeah, that's a big question.
And we carry around these cell phones. I do think a lot of these certain sicknesses are their frequency poisonings. If they, just like we were talking about sending in your DNA to 23andMe or whoever the hell. So if they now have your DNA, they have your DNA makeup, they have your DNA frequency, and they can dial these towers into those exact frequencies. And I want everybody on the South Block to get the flu.
Yes.
Here, I want to push a upsurge. In California, we got this surge of the flu, the soup, and RSV, whatever the hell, like
this tridemic.
Have
y'all seen that? I was like, wait. I started laughing because I was like, this how y'all could do? This how y'all could come up with? That's how y'all rebrand. Y'all need to fire y'all PR person. A tridemic? Fuck out of here. I just laughed. Nobody's gonna be scared of that shit.
Yeah.
Y'all saw the way Biden's the White House press lady, how she was presenting it. It looked like she was just tired. She's up there like, look, y'all gotta take this new job, man. Can y'all just please go out and take? Like, she was just tired. She knows she ain't gonna get us to do that. Come on now. Come on. So
there are some that are programmed that'll still take it because they just are so programmed. They're still sheep. So they'll just do what they're programmed to do because they don't want to. And there are others who see and know and be like, nah, we're not doing it.
And another thing that keeps us sick, imagine if everybody was thriving. Like if you went out in the streets and 432 Hertz music was just playing in the streets, and you're just like, it's a lovely day today. But like one of the ways they keep us sick is sometimes you can't even help it. You just walking down the street and you hear, oh, my niggas go make this money. And you're like, wait a minute. Why is my chakras going wild? What is happening to my body? You don't even know that you are being possessed. You're being possessed, right? Like these sound frequencies, like you can't escape them. If you're in the vicinity of this frequency, and music is magic. It literally is magic.
Yeah.
Like it can rearrange your whole psyche. So if they got all of this music, if they change the frequency to 440 Hertz, hey, it's 5.5. Okay, now I see y'all with the 5.55. Stay alive. We jiving. So if they change the frequency, and the frequency was part of how we were being healed, so the frequency is wrong. So everybody's walking around with their chakras out of alignment. So it's like we wonder why, like, people just seem so like
chaotic.
Yeah, like why else would you kill somebody for getting your order wrong at McDonald's if you weren't?
Right.
So if you listen to now, like, so at first it was from, from what I can remember, it used to be like, Nas and then Jay-Z, like the lyrics they was actually talking about like their life in the street, what they came up from, yada yada. And then it went from, fast forward all the way to you thought I was feeling you? Nah, nigga, you a munch, or something like that. I don't even know what it is now, but it's like yo, I'll be like, wait a minute. And people like, yo, bars, this she the GOAT. And I'm like, nah, I need to get out of
Like,
here. Where's
how?
Bermuda Triangle? Here I come. I'm diving in that bad boy. She nah, but like I'll be like, okay, it's gonna get better. But this is like, you know, this is this is why we're here. This is why I'm here. This is why Amani here. This is why a lot of us are here, you know. We're just visiting for one. We're just visiting. But a lot of us are here to kind of reset the foolishness, because I know right now a lot of y'all looking around like, wait a minute, nah, this ain't real life. This can't be happening like this. So, what the meaning, like the true meaning of purpose has been flipped out or flipped on its head. And right now what we are seeing is them trying to get order out of what? Chaos.
Yeah.
So they for some reason, when I say they, let's be transparent. When I say they, I mean the controlling families. I mean the non-earth, like the non-humanoids that are controlling them. The non-humanoids that possess these earthly bodies, that control everything, that knows how sound frequencies work and everything, right? So they, damn, what was I saying before that? Yeah, so they know that they have to keep things chaotic. And that is why they changed the sound frequency, because there's a way that music can make you feel peaceful. Like there's this one solar plexus music I've been listening to all day, because it makes me feel like my soul is at home. Like it makes me feel like in other realms, like we actually do listen to like these angelic frequencies. Like we don't listen to music with words. It's just like these. Anyway, so in order to keep things at a chaotic state, one way to do that, somebody said jazz. Yeah, because I like jazz, but like sometimes I'd be like, shit. Anyway, like, come on, pick a note. No. But like, yeah, I feel like sometimes they have to keep things chaotic. That's why you have this whole like trans thing going on. You have this, like, you have 4-year-olds asking like, am I a boy, am I a girl? Because it's like they want things to be chaotic at all times, so that things are never truly harmonious, right? Because if things are harmonious and we go back to our divine light, then there's no need for the ruling powers to go and pull these false flags, like a mass shooting and stuff like that. Let's be honest, a lot of these are false flags. Anyway, let's hone it in. Let's come down to this last minute or so. Whew. Okay. So, for my, you know what, ladies first, I would like to hear your closing thoughts. Anything that you would like to say, you know, to go ahead and close us out. Let's hear it.
This was great. Like, this was a good one, Astro. This was a good one. Thank you for, inviting me in. I always feel right at home when I'm here. I always feel right at home. So, thank you so much for thinking of me and letting me into your space. And just gratitude to you for doing the work.
Gratitude.
And opening the minds. If I can say to everyone, I know that, it's already cold outside, and pretty much no matter where you are here, it's cold as hell, as people say.
Yeah.
It's freezing. So I just would love to extend some warmth to everyone. Please, of course, stay safe. Keep your thoughts big. We were just talking about, your thoughts come back to you. So keep your thoughts big and grand. Keep your words beautiful and majestic, and keep your actions intentful, and if I don't see y'all again, have a happy holiday.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. That was beautiful. Received and reflected. Thank you.
In short, always a pleasure. Always. Beautiful minds, beautiful hearts. So I always feel at home as well. I thank you for allowing me in on your platform. I'm so in love with just the stage with the conversation, just with the energy, the flow of energy that happens every single time. It's magnetic, and I'll always keep coming back. Just if I had something to say to sum it up, live in love. Can't go wrong. Everything is birthed from love. Live in love. Love isn't weak, so not in that state of mind that you think love is, because love isn't always meek, right? But operate in love, live in love, operate in love. And I love you guys.
I love you too.
Thank you. I love you too. So yeah, this was actually one of my favorites. I know I said that last week, but it just keeps getting better. It keeps getting better, yo. Like,
I love it. I love it.
It's this energy. As long as I have breath in this body, I will always be here to exchange and give thanks and show love to y'all, because I truly appreciate it. It's up to us to change the frequencies, right? So what I want to say is just, this wasn't even planned, yo. This was like just a bonus episode. And thank you guys for getting me out of my like introverted shyness. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause you even doing these lives, like I can't, sometimes it's like, oh my God.
And we love it.
When I hit the record button and then I see y'all hop up in here, I'm just like, tribe. So although we know what we know about Christmas and the holidays, I still want y'all to, you know, even if you're not celebrating or you feel how you feel, enjoy this time with family. If you're by yourself, shout out to the people who, you know, y'all doing this by yourself. If you're not with family, still enjoy this time with yourself. What's your sign, Astro? I'm a Cancer Leo. For those who don't believe in cuss, I'm just a Cancer. So I really do appreciate this time that we have together, and I want you guys to appreciate this season with your family, with yourselves. And if you can, please do something nice for somebody on Christmas. It can be a gallon of water. It can be, you know, a piece of lettuce. Just give to somebody. Give and don't expect anything back. Just give for the joy of giving. And have a blessed holiday season. I don't think so. The next Thursday is the 29th, so I don't think that we're going to do a New Year's episode. Probably not. You know, people got things to do. So I probably will see you guys in 2023. So yeah, happy holidays. I love you guys so much. Please enjoy it. Enjoy yourself. Be safe. Please be safe. If you got a bad feeling, don't go. Don't show up. Just follow your intuition. So with that being said, I'll see you guys in 2023 on the new year, but we know when the new year is. It's in spring. But I see y'all on this commercialized new year in 2023. Y'all be safe. I love you so much. Peace.